Ever heard an inane sentence like, George served a heavier sentence due to the mens rea confirmed using res gestae evidence compounding the actus reus of the drowning of his wife? If you're a lawyer, law student, or aspiring law student, you have probably heard something like this that made you wonder why law requires one to know language of Caesar, and why we haven't moved away from it yet. It's a long and complicated story, but we are here to make life easier. Presenting the first episode of SimpLaw, Law Made Simple. Where does the Latin come from? For this, we need a trip down memory lane. The Roman Empire, essential in modernizing Europe as a continent, conducted all its affairs in Latin. One key feature of the Roman Empire was its legal system, which continues to be the subject of study and discussion, even now in 2020. For starters, we just need to look at Justinian I, the Emperor of East Rome, from 529 to 534 AD. He released the Codex Justinianus, a collection of what could be seen as the first modern legal code. Thus, he was the first to codify, as in make written and official, the laws of the state. Beyond that, with the Roman legal system, came the first instances of courtroom procedure in front of a neutral party and under the auspices of a magistrate. The Roman law system also introduced appeals to a higher magistrate for parties who were unsatisfied with previous decisions. Sounds pretty familiar, right? As a result of the Roman Empire, Latin made its way around, being used by traders roaming around from region to region. As such, it became a European lingua franca, or common language, which carried into the legal systems of many of the states that emerged from the collapse of Rome. Thereafter, these new states spread their influence and knowledge around. As such, there was a natural export of European law and its love of Latin to the colonies. For instance, the Commonwealth of Britain's past colonies have inherited the common law system from Britain, thus also inheriting their Latin legal terminology. However, one must ask the question of why Latin has all but vanished from popular use, but has remained in legalese. As a matter of fact, Latin has thrived in legal writing, with refrains such as inter alia, which means, among other things, actually increasing in use over the 4 decades from 1950 to 1990. One explanation is that Latin is a very brief language, efficient in the effort required to express any given sentiment, as a result of it being intensely economical. A short refrain such as jus cogens expands to the mouthful of a phrase, customary international law from which no derogation is permitted. This is a key advantage of Latin as a language of legal technicalities, allowing sentiments to be expressed more concisely in a profession that desperately needs to reduce its syllable count. Another prominent feature that keeps Latin in legal writing is that Latin has a body of well-developed legal concepts. In law, translation is generally taken to be a last resort of communication, since concepts seldom translate directly and perfectly from language to language. However, Latin has a library of legal terms that have been tested and used in many cases, having clearly defined meanings that are well understood by those in the legal profession. While this may seem perfect, using Latin also has downsides. The largest of these being that the use of Latin is an added difficulty for those who are interested in or seeking aid via the law. If the law is to be accessed equally by all, the fact that most people cannot understand Latin would be a peculiar stumbling block that is difficult to overcome. If not Latin, what options do we have? One option that sounds good is to just make English the common legal language. But that comes with its own problems. Firstly, English is a language that makes technicalities very difficult to express, resulting in extremely long explanations that confuse everyone in an attempt not to be misunderstood. Furthermore, legal terminologies in English will be harder to translate into European languages that evolve from Latin, such as French or Spanish. As a result, English appears to pose more problems than solutions for us. The other alternative, which has been considered somewhat more seriously in academia, is the development of a synthetic language for legal terminology. It sounds crazy, but stay with me. If you had a language that was designed specifically to describe legal sentiments, then that language could simply be learnt by all lawyers and members of society. However, this solution takes commitment and a lot of effort to carry out. Not to mention that precedents of legal language in cases would have to start again from nothing. This also presents the same problem of accessibility as Latin, as people would have to learn a new language from scratch. So where does that leave us? Right where we started. But perhaps, and hopefully, with a better understanding of the state of Latin in law. So concludes the first ever episode of SimpLaw, Law Made Simple. If you liked that video, hit subscribe and click that bell icon to be alerted when we release more content. It will also be a great help if you could smash that like button and share this video with your friends, families, and anyone you meet on the street. Just remember not to break the law.